Hi everybody. So, I hope this works. I wanted to make a video today in a different format. Basically, I'm going to draw and talk at the same time. And the theme of today's video is going to be about learned helplessness. And learned helplessness is basically a Pavlovian concept, and it comes from an experiment done with dogs, in which dogs were put into a cage, and every time they came out of that cage, they were shocked. And over time, they understood that trying to escape a cage is just futile, because no matter what, they would be shocked. And that's a big component of narcissistic abuse. We're taught, and it doesn't matter if you go into this relationship in adulthood, it doesn't matter if you were born to these people. We're taught that no matter what we do, we can never get a reward without struggling, without getting shocked, without some sort of disappointment attached to that reward. And so the path is never straight for you if you've escaped narcissism, because you always assume that even if you gain something, you always lose something in the process. And this sort of conditioning is very, very confusing for people that haven't experienced it, because it happens at the level of the nervous system. So anytime you try to start a new task, whether it be drawing or learning a language or anything, this huge amount of anxiety overcomes you, because you're used to the idea that if you try something new, something bad will happen. Something bad is at the other end, and that is the punishment that the narcissist has given you for trying to be creative. And in the experiment with dogs, they had several different approaches. One of them involved starving the dogs and putting meat on the other side of the cage and opening the cage. And so the dogs, in spite of the fact that they were free to go and there would be no electric shock, because there was no scientist on the other end, learned that it's better to stay in the cage and starve and not go after this food than it is to exit the cage and nourish yourself. So it's pretty terrible, because what the human in the human the human manifestation of this learned helplessness is procrastination. And you wake up in the morning and you know that you need to do a certain amount of tasks, and that if you don't do these tasks, you're going to feel defeated, you're going to feel a sense of apathy, you're going to be mad at yourself, You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be depressed. You're going to have all these negative states of consciousness. And yet, you choose to stay in bed or not to do that new skill that you want to do, not to do the laundry, not to clean the house, because of the apathy that you've built through experience. And that's why learned helplessness is a learned behavior. In the case of the children of sociopaths, this is especially horrible because basically you could never do any right. While other people's caretakers were praising them, were encouraging them, your caretaker was doing everything in their power to make you learn helplessness. Make you learn that any sort of initiative that you took that was purely your own was going to be met with a negative consequence. And this negative consequence could be smashing of doors, disapproval, the silent treatment, a withdrawal of love. And so this procrastination in your adult life, this kind of talking yourself out of doing things by saying, it's too hard, I'll never do this is too complicated, you need talent to draw, you need talent to do X, Y, or Z, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, what if somebody else comes in and takes the rug from underneath me? This will never work. This all comes from the operant conditioning that you went through. And there were certain places where you may have been safe, like in school, and you probably were very good in school because there was no negative stimulus there. In fact, there was a lot of encouragement from your teachers because you got good grades, and that was the only positive reinforcement that you had at the time. But I'm here to tell you that you're not a dog, and even dogs can unlearn helplessness with time. And in scientific terms, this is called extinction learning, or extinction. The more you do, the more you convince yourself after no contact that doing is the right way to go. That nothing bad is going to happen to you if you do things. And in fact, the more you do, the better off you will be. So, the only way out is through the cage. And think of it as a choice that you have now. You could either sit in the cage, in the corner, and fear the shock of escaping this cage, and give in to that fear of trying something new with your life. Or you can follow that reward of knowing that now that the narcissist is out of the picture, and now that you know who the devil is, you can push him the fuck away and get that meat that's sitting on the other side of the cage. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but all I know is that after leaving these people, I have a lot more energy to do things that I never thought that I would do. And a lot more patience with myself. And a lot more satisfaction from doing things. And so that's the idea. Your soul needs to exercise the courage to get out of this mental cage that you're in. And there's no other way. Nobody can really help you with that. Because it happens on a soul level. God can maybe help you if you believe in a God. If you have some sort of faith in the spiritual world and spiritual laws. And we know, and part of us knows that the more we do things, the better we're going to feel at the end of our life. And that's basically God's law. That creation is the law of the universe. And the more that you create, the more you're fulfilling your role in the world. But a part of us still clings to this fear of what demons will do. What will this person say? What will this narcissist say? The narcissist is going to throw a fit. The narcissist is going to slam the door. And honestly, I'm at a point where I don't care anymore. I just don't care. And since you figured out their game, you could also figure out the opposing game of creation. The key to getting out of all of this is to do what these people never wanted you to do. And that is to believe that you can do things. And that it's worth doing things. And so I encourage you to pick up your pencil and think of all the things that you want to do rather than sitting here curled up in a ball in a cage, in a mental cage. And thinking about them and how they put you into this cage. Don't learn apathy anymore. The world is full of inspiration. And the world is full of things that you can do. And the world is full of things that you can do and people that can appreciate the things that you do. And I know it's hard, but I believe in you. I believe that people that have gone through this have the advantage of knowing the force of destruction when it appears, and that they have an obligation to embrace the force of creation. So, that's all I have to say for now. Kisses.